Hi guys, it's Jessie Rogers. I'm going to attempt to walk you through a paint pour I did like a year ago. This is a 3-chamber split cup tree ring pour. I'm using 3 colors: Prussian blue by Liquitex, titanium white by Liquitex, and copper by DecoArt Extreme Sheen. I am pouring this on a 14 by 14 inch stretched canvas in a circular motion. I've sped this video up by 2 times so that the video wasn't extremely long. But you want to try and stay as steady as possible. Prop your arm on something if you can. The more you shake, the shakier your lines are going to be. All of my paints are mixed with a pouring medium, Floetrol. I use 1 part paint, 2 parts Floetrol, and 1 part water, distilled water. So say I use 2 ounces of acrylic paint, I'm going to need 4 ounces of Floetrol and 2 ounces of water. And then I just mix. Here you can see I didn't really like how the middle turned out, so I am using the end of a paintbrush to tweak it a little bit and swirl it around and make it look good. You can do this when the paint is still wet. You can also go back after the painting is dried and tweak it like that. There are many possibilities to fluid art. I think that's why I love it so much. Still tweaking. A lot of times, right after I do a pour like this, I really don't want to stretch it out because it looks so beautiful. And there we are popping the air bubbles. Air bubbles are your enemy in fluid art. Because if you have air bubbles in your painting, when you put it out to dry, they will pop. But as it dries, those little bubbles are going to leave little indentions in your painting. And we don't want that. So torch out those bubbles with a torch or a heat gun. Right here, I was just stretching it around, getting the paint to flow. I don't want to lose my composition because if I just started stretching it out right now, my paint's just going to roll over itself and I'm going to lose everything you see here and it'll look like a completely different painting. So I'm getting ready to lay down a base coat of titanium white around the entire painting. It makes the composition flow easier, and it also lets you keep your composition on the canvas and not off. So base coat is always good. And it looks like I take absolutely forever to smooth out that base coat. Just using a palette knife to spread it around evenly. You don't want too much paint to be on your canvas because then when you set it to dry, you have the possibility of it cracking. You know, I've done that before, had way too much paint in the middle and came back to my painting and there were just cracks all through it. And you don't want to have too less of paint. There's some pretty awesome YouTubers online. I think Olga Sobi is one who has an acrylic paint pouring calculator online where you can enter the size of your canvas, and her calculator will tell you exactly how much fluid paint you will need to cover that size canvas. So I definitely recommend looking into her. She's an awesome fluid artist. And there's also Molly's Artistry. She's pretty cool. She does a lot of cool work. I get a lot of inspiration from them. I've been doing fluid art paint pouring for about 4 years now. And I'm just getting into the whole recording myself and doing these voiceover things. I'm not one who likes to see myself on camera, you know. Here we are popping those bubbles, pesky bubbles. Bye-bye. My trusty dusty torch covered in paint. Okay. Now we got our base coat down. I'm trying to get the paint to flow with itself over the base coat. I don't want it to roll over. I apologize if you can only see the back of the canvas here in some points, but it's a very slow process of tilting. So you want to tilt to one corner, let it slowly go to that corner, and then you want to bring your composition back to the middle. So we're slowly going to that one corner, and we're taking it back to the middle. And then we're gonna slowly go to the next corner. See how it's flowing on top? And then we're going back to the middle. And it was starting to roll over right there. So I needed some more base coat to help it flow. One thing I love about using Floetrol is it's a self-leveler. So it levels your paints really, really well versus other pouring mediums. Some artists just mix their paints with water, paint and water. You can do that, absolutely. Some people use glue, like glue wall, for their pouring medium. There's a lot of options out there now. Okay, so we're back to stretching it to one of the other corners. And then back to the middle. And then we're going to that bottom corner. And then back to the middle. And then other bottom corner. And back to the center. Patience, patience. Takes time to build a masterpiece. And our last corner. Stretching it out slowly. Remember, this is sped up by 2 times, so this is very, very slow. As soon as it rolls over that corner, I'm bringing it back to the center. As you can see, I've got those giant push pins in the corner of the canvases on the bottom. That's how I keep my canvases up above the cardboard to dry, or whatever you put it on to dry. Right now, I use cardboard because, hey, Christmas is coming and I got lots of packages coming in. Cardboard galore. I apologize that you're just looking at the back of the canvas again. I swear I'm gonna get better at this. I am. And I'm just stretching it out so that I can get the composition where I want it. And I've got a lot of blue up at the top, so I'm trying to push that off the edge. And then I'm gonna bring it back down. You can plan and plan and plan for what you want your fluid art piece to look like. But no matter how much you plan, no matter how perfect you pour it, the results are, what's the word I'm looking for? You just never know what you're going to get. Popping the bubbles again. Bye-bye bubbles. Get out of my painting. Also, you can use a torch or a heat gun to create cells in your paintings. But you definitely want to pop those bubbles. Again, I don't really like how the center turned out, so I've got the end of my paintbrush again. And just tweaking it a little bit until I feel like I've got the desired look that I want. I love how the Prussian blue and the white create such crisp lines, and the gold is so soft. Or copper, not gold, sorry. Then I go back through with a palette knife and clean up my edges and make sure there's no drips and make sure my corners are covered. If you don't do this, you don't clean off your sides, get the drips, your painting, it will continue to roll off. You don't want that. So make sure you clean up your corners. It's a lot easier to do it when the painting is wet versus when it's dry. Yeah. Fluid art is pretty amazing. I'm so glad I found this form of painting. I love it. I hope you guys love it too. If you do, click the like button, subscribe. I need them followers. Taking you in for a close-up, you can see those tiny cells and those crisp lines. Gorgeous. I love it. Little cells popping through. As it dries, more will pop up. But thanks for watching.